Welcome everyone to the Washingtonville Police Reform Committee. This is meeting number 2. Today is February 17th. It's 7:03 p.m. We're going to be going over the survey that was put together and sent out to the residents or stakeholders in the village of Washingtonville. Chief Zaccaro, you're on.
So Trustee Lodato had done a survey mimicking a lot of other police department surveys with the same questions, or similar questions, and also to fit our community. It was 10 questions, multiple choice. 193 people, as of I believe this afternoon, responded. I emailed, I think everybody in the committee that I had their email addresses. I just didn't have an email address for Colleen Doyle and maybe one more person. But I'm pretty sure most of you haven't had a chance yet to review it, but I just emailed it to you. But I don't know, do you want to go through each question and kind of look at it, or?
I think that, yeah.
All right, so I'll just read the questions and then we can all look at the survey results. Within the past 2 years, have you ever had an interaction with the Washington Police Department regarding any of the following? Traffic violation, criminal offense, domestic dispute, community event, or none? You can see the results. The majority of, from what it looks like, 48% or so had no contact with us. A small percent had traffic violations, and a small percent had other.
I think that question you were allowed to answer more than one.
Okay. Oh, here it is. Yeah. These were some of the comments that Trustee Lodato had forwarded the committee. It's not all of the comments. We also forwarded you the entire survey with everybody's comments on there, but she had highlighted, I think, a few of them, just to kind of give us an idea. Any negative ones, or I think any really good ones, I think she tried to give us a quick response from. But on those 3 attachments that we emailed you, it's the complete report, so everything is on there. I think one of them's several hundred pages. Question 2 was, in the past 2 years, have you had to call the Washington Police Department for help because of you or another person in a mental health crisis? Almost 90%, 95% said no. A small percentage said yes. That is one of the calls that, as I mentioned last week, we do handle a lot of mental health calls, welfare checks, things like that. We have a couple group homes in the village, and just with COVID this year, I think we saw an increase in those numbers. What do you think about this statement? The Washington Police Department treats people fairly. 62% said strongly agree. 1.55% disagreed. Obviously, I'd love to see that say 100, 0%, but something we can always improve on. I'd like to maybe, I'll read into those comments if I could. I'm not sure if they will have comments for those responses. How do you feel about this statement? The Washington Police Department does a good job protecting our community. Same thing, 68% roughly strongly agree, 0.52% strongly disagree. Larissa, can you hear me? Question 5, do you feel the Washington Police Department actively uses a system of community policing? Community policing is a system where the police work closely with the community to solve problems together, to prevent crime and solve the problems in the community. And once again, the results. Yeah. I think Trustee Clore is recording it, correct? Trustee Clore is recording it. How do you feel about this statement? Washington Police Department treats people from all walks of life with equality. As you You see the results are pretty favorable towards us. Do you think the Washington Police Department needs more education, awareness, or training in any of the following? That's a tough question because unless you were here part of the committee, you really don't know all of our training other than maybe just word of mouth or seeing something on social media or having a friend in the department. So that's a tough question. I myself would always, I think every police officer would always agree that we could always use more training. But here's some of the results: communication skills, mental health awareness, 10%, disability awareness training, and about 10% is a better understanding of implicit bias, people's cultural and personal identity. Those are things we are working on. As I mentioned last week, we started the procedural justice and implicit bias training this year. We're moving forward with it. Here's some more comments. Addressing loitering, dirt bikes, ATVs, reckless bikers on road. Animal cruelty, active shooter. A lot of these things we do train, but like I said, unless you know specifically from us, you might not know everything that we do.
I think we had some training today, didn't we, Chief? At the high school?
Yeah, we did have training today at the high school. K-9 did, yep. Did you stop over there?
No, but I heard about it.
I saw all the cars there. They
Yeah.
were flooding.
And what's your age group? The majority of people look like they're between 35 and 65 years of age that responded to this. The race or ethnicity. I think we did a pretty good job. I'm right on social media forwarding the information. I think we put it on the police department website, the village website. Trustee Ladada or Sampson said she put it on community pages. I think we did a lot to try to get this out there in a short period of time. And I know friends and family had completed this, and I only think it took a few minutes. And gender, male, female, for, the responses on that. So this is kind of just a guide to our survey. I didn't see anything that stood out drastically that I was going to expect. But obviously training is something that we always can improve on. So I want to thank Trustee Ladado and everybody that helped us with this. Please, if you have time, research it and read some of the comments.
She did an awesome job.
She did, absolutely.
Larissa, does anybody have questions on Zoom? All right. I also, I guess we could talk about this for a little bit, and then we can go back. Is there anything in here that the committee feels that we should address that's like a hot topic right now?
From this area you're talking about?
From this survey?
Well, on the question that had training, that it was like 8%, I think, or 9% for other, I'd be curious to see what people said the other would be.
Okay. Yeah, I personally.
They're listed there.
Yeah.
They're in the comments right afterwards.
Yeah.
I had read this I had read it, but I don't remember all the comments particularly. But
It was like
animal cruelty.
laws, ATVs,
Mental
health.
Yeah, that's the other, yeah.
It was like just a bunch of miscellaneous.
I got
Was
it.
anything consistent, or just 8 or 9 different random things?
I'll read it to you.
Okay.
All the above, all the above. All police departments need better training, more training, no way can continue ed. All the above, don't be tyrants. All the above, address on loitering, dirt bikes, ATVs. Training is always essential. Animal cruelty laws, all the above. Active shooter, all the above. More education.
What was the thing about computer?
No.
Active
Oh.
shooter.
Active
Active
shooter.
Active shooter.
More education is always a good thing. Train them on things actually related to that and what would help with enforcing the law.
I don't, that one just makes me laugh. Really?
substance abuse and continue training in all areas.
Okay, all right.
So basically, a lot of most of these people who said other said all of the above,
Yeah.
most of them, with a few exceptions. So,
Some of the stuff, like active shooter, we do
Yeah, well, they just don't know.
They just don't know.
Yeah,
Well, he or she don't know.
Yes.
I think it's just getting that out to the public, that
yeah.
all of these things that are concerns of the residents, you guys do. Okay, I know training will never, ever be cut as far as, cut that out of the budget. I don't think you could have enough training. That goes across the board to everyone.
Hillary's up.
Lisa Stiver would like to know, do the police officers themselves think there are any trainings that they would benefit from?
Hi, Lisa, it's Chief, can you hear me?
Scott,
Right here.
Yes, I can hear you.
That's a good question. I don't think any police officer honestly would ever say they don't get enough training. It's one of the things that just, you never have enough. I mean, for example, firearms training use of force is probably 16 to 24 hours. Some guys, if we could do 40 hours, that'd be great. But obviously mental illness, use of force, things like that are hot topics, and we're always trying to train more on that. So I don't think there's one specific thing, Lisa, that we're going to single out tonight, but I think a little bit of everything, honestly. I mean, is there a suggestion that you feel we might need?
No, I thought you talked about it last time. Do you guys participate in the CIT training that's offered from the county?
So we,
You said you did, right?
yeah, we do. We have several officers that are trained, and all new recruits, I think, still have that training in there, but we probably have about 7 police officers off the top of my head that are CIT trained. We might have more. That number is rough, because it's, that training is only a few years old, if I remember. This specifically, maybe within 10 years. So, but it's definitely something that we can revisit, and it is beneficial to us. Lisa, so, I emailed everybody on the committee your email that you forwarded to me. Can you just introduce yourself and kind of touch? I think it was an important email that was important, and maybe you can just, if you don't mind taking a minute just to
that's new.
Just say it,
I've seen that before.
It's
I'm with RSS, Rehabilitation Support Services, and we run a community residence in the Washingtonville community. And we serve 12 mentally ill adults in our house. And basically my thought was this, and I shared this with the chief, is last time we talked a lot about the activities that we do to engage the youth in the community so that they have a good relationship with the police, and they don't fear the police, and there's community interaction. So my suggestion was, because I know that Crystal Run Village and Access also have housing in the Washingtonville community, so there's quite a few people kind of identified with, diagnosed with mental illness in the community. What if the police worked with the community to just do activities that were geared towards people with mental illness? I know the folks in our house, usually the interactions with police are negative. They're usually taking them to the hospital for an evaluation or they're being arrested. So it would be nice to have some rapport built ahead of time so that when they come to the house, it's not necessarily as negative of an interaction as it is otherwise. So that was kind of my thought. I don't know if anybody has questions, but that was kind of what I was thinking, just because of the background and the situation I deal with in Washingtonville. Just a thought.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I agree. We hold community events, and honestly, you're right. Most of the interaction that we have with your clients are usually, when we're taking them to the hospital or, arresting them for an incident. So maybe an outreach of the village has community events. Maybe we can, a date night or some sort of community event, have them show up, when it's, anytime, honestly, they're members of the community, so they can come anytime they want, but maybe we can make one specific night for, to have them present and work with them, introduce themselves, or introduce the police officers to them and work on that. It's definitely something we can improve on.
I have a question. Lisa, do you guys have transportation available to transport them to the events?
Yes.
Great, good.
Lisa, does your, hold on. Lisa, does the group home on West Main Street, do they follow our social media sites, do you know? Or is there a way that somebody can follow them to see the stuff that the village is putting on?
The manager of the house does. The residents themselves don't typically utilize social media.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's one thing we can work on, is just reminding the staff at the home about events coming up, but if they follow social media, the staff, I think the village does a pretty good job with advertising the community events. Last year was difficult, obviously, but I think there's I don't know if it's a committee,
It's events
the
committee.
events committee is pretty outgoing with stuff, so maybe the staff can follow them and we can remind you. I think that's a good way to start.
Lisa, also, if you follow us on Instagram, I actually just posted the schedule today for all the events.
Did you hear?
I'm sure that was the manager, okay.
Lisa, hi, this is Joe Bucko. Are you aware, or are you familiar rather, with stigma-free communities? I was in New Jersey the other day and I saw these signs indicate like Fort Lee is stigma-free. And what it is, it's a county-wide program which aims to eradicate the stigma associated with mental illness and substance use disorders.
I think we have something similar in Orange County that's the Think Differently.
So it's just a name, but it's the same.
It's different, yeah, I'm not sure if it includes substance use disorder, but I know that it does include like mental health and like developmental disabilities, et cetera.
I mean, is it something that we should really dive headfirst into this?
I guess my question is it, how do we relate it to policing?
Right.
Well, it has with a lot of the questions, the mental illness.
Right. Well, I guess
and it could be anything, really.
What if you guys did like something informal, like if you guys are having a slow day, maybe go over to the house and ask if anybody wants to throw a ball or, something like that. And just have it be, like you go hang out.
Let them turn on the lights on the cars, I'm not kidding. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that'll get them familiar with you and.
Well, I think some of it too is like, I think the manpower, sometimes you have two people.
No,
working.
yeah.
Right.
But then the other thing is like, everybody follows social media here, and the big thing this summer was people hanging out in front of the banks, hanging out there. Well, most of the people hanging out in front of the banks were people from these group homes, they were doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So you have the police that,
Yeah.
we're not bothering them because they're absolutely doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But then you have the community, so I think there's a way to like, besides getting to see us, the community needs to know who they are too, so we don't get the calls, and could result in a bad encounter of us, hey, what are you guys doing here? And then they're mad that we're talking to them.
Yeah,
So I think
That's
getting
an
it out in
excellent,
public is
it's an
really,
excellent point,
Yeah.
because it was almost every day.
I would say 90% of the complaints about in the center of town
yeah,
were from people from homes, and I wouldn't say all the time, I'd say 90% or more, they're doing nothing wrong with just being present.
yeah.
And it's,
And some people don't understand that that's where they go to have their social
Yes.
interaction.
And some of them live right there too, they don't realize.
Yeah,
that
there's apartments right
There's
there.
apartments right there, that's where they live, they're standing in front of their own house.
That's their yard, I mean, that's their front yard.
Lisa, I could just say that we will continue to strive to do better on that aspect, as you mentioned. I think we can definitely improve that, and with more training, more to socialize with them more, and we could work with the staff. And I think having them come to a community event will definitely, maybe help that situation, but, I know we work with the staff pretty good there. Anytime there's a problem, if it's a repeat offender, we work with the staff to try to get them the additional resources other than arresting them and going through that route. We're always trying to get social workers, other staff, maybe him moved somewhere else because he doesn't get along with another resident there. So I think your home or your staff is pretty good with us, and I think we work well together, but just sometimes it's a difficult situation. We always can't arrest somebody, we can't always force them to go to the hospital, and they live together, so.
Yes, I would agree, thank you.
I just wonder if there are aspects of this, that it's a toolkit, so maybe there are things that if we dig
Yeah,
into it, we can look and see if maybe there's something that is specifically applicable, or can be made applicable to policing in this community.
Now, what you're saying, that it's in Orange County,
Yes.
under a different,
It's called Think Differently. Steve Newhouse is putting, it's a county, thing that they're doing.
okay,
So Steve Newhouse is working on it. I know a couple of people on their board. I can ask more. They pushed it out just before COVID hit, and then, you know how all that goes.
yeah.
So, I mean, I can ask some of my friends that are on the board and find out more information
Okay.
and
That-
see.
That's, it's throughout, I want to, I'm guessing it's throughout New Jersey, each county. You know, but it's not just the mental illness, it's everything.
Yes. Well, you guys already have, like, the Hope Not Handcuffs
Right.
for substance use, and then, you know, working on the implicit bias training. You guys have done some special needs training, trying to see who we can connect with to work on the mental illness, something.
Yeah, so we have, we usually try to do 2 professional development days.
Mhm.
We will bring in outside speakers. Last year was difficult. So
Yeah.
this year, we've already pushed it back twice. We were supposed to have it in December and in January, so we're pushing it back. But we can reach out to, you know, those topics to try to get somebody in to speak to us about it.
Yeah.
It's hard, there's not much, I mean, unless we're not aware of it, there's not much mental health training out there.
Yeah, other than having like a speaker come,
Yeah,
maybe,
somebody-
Yeah,
you know, somebody.
maybe Lisa, has somebody within their organization that would be
Yeah.
willing to come in and speak to you guys. And it might not be like training from somebody that's a police officer, but it might help understand how things,
Just listening to
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
is priceless.
And understanding that, you know, the other side of the experiences.
Lisa, did you hear the question?
Yes, absolutely. I can send you a bunch of names of people to contact, absolutely. We can help and a lot of members with that inside the organization, and I'm part of several committees, and absolutely, we can help with that.
All right, great. Larissa, is there any questions?
No more right now. Not in the chat.
You want to talk about, I mean, we have a couple of things we could talk about. Some of the topics we talked about last time, I'm not sure if you want to expand on that, the mayor, or you want to just see if we could set up a couple of different goals for us. But one of them was updating our website, adding the police officers' names to it for more transparency. If somebody wanted to make a complaint or speak to an officer, they might, you know, have the officers' names on there.
As long as, yeah, you know, I would be against personal information.
Yeah, I think just the officer's name, maybe even putting an email address, I think would be fair enough. If somebody wanted to just speak to that individual officer,
Right.
If they have shield numbers?
shield number, we could put that on there.
Shield numbers.
Yeah, what the,
Would the officers be comfortable with that?
they would be comfortable with that. I don't think the picture idea they'd be too.
No, I don't think the
But we-
pictures are.
We post a lot of pictures of ourselves on social media anyway,
Yeah.
but some people just feel a little bit hesitant too, which is fair. They're
Does everyone
public-
have their own email?
Everybody has their own email, everybody, so we could add their name, their shield number, their email address to the village website.
I think that'd be the best idea though, to have their department email, Because if you have a complaint with somebody, you really want that person communicating with that officer, and the officer
Right.
going back and forth, so there'd be one person,
I
maybe
agree.
one person to be fielding those emails. Because there's gonna be somebody that doesn't like me, or the next person, and what do? You tell them, you know, you block them, and this way you have no interaction at all. You know, you really don't wanna put a complaint and a potential,
So just have
I
one.
would,
Do
together.
you have, I know like the village has an incident report.
So we have a personnel complaint form. We had talked about last
We
time,
talked
one of my
about that
goals
last
was
time.
to update that form with everybody's suggestions and then putting that online.
Okay.
Um,
I think the two websites have to be married.
Well, we don't have a website. We're only on your website.
Right.
We don't have a.
I,
They click on our page.
just
It's a
click on
page
the
off,
tab,
yeah.
So,
all right. And you're at a Facebook jail now?
yeah, we're back on Facebook.
Yeah.
We're back on Facebook.
All right. Yeah, those 20 days went quick.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with what Frank
I'm
said.
still wondering what you guys are posting.
I don't know, the detectives handle it, so I don't know.
Wow.
I have to agree with Frank that individual emails could cause a problem.
Yeah, okay.
They can get harassed there, they can, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really the committee take the suggestions. Me personally, I don't have a problem with it. A lot of departments do it already. They have, my email address is on the website right now, and I do field a couple emails. I got an email this weekend about something, it wasn't an emergency, but they emailed me. It's something I wish they would have called the police department for, because if I wasn't checking my email, I think Saturday or something. So I forwarded it to him, and it wasn't even somebody who lived in Washingtonville making a complaint, but, you know, there's a way of communication. That's the way things are changing now. People email us complaints instead of calling the
Yeah.
station.
I just think like, if, you know, somebody emails an officer and say, you know, it could be a legitimate complaint, the officer just ignores it. It never gets to him, and it doesn't get to a supervisor, it doesn't go to the next level. There's always, I mean, we could always
Not
find,
to throw you under the bus, but maybe it needs to go to supervisor.
absolutely.
Well, what does it say on the website? Does it say contact Brian
Yeah,
Zaccaro?
it says,
Or does it just say contact?
it says contact, well, it just has my name, and it doesn't say anything about personnel complaints. It just says, you know, it has my name and my email address.
And that's
But-
what they were clicking? It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not part of the, I'm not familiar with the page. It doesn't say anything like contact the police, click?
No,
No,
No.
okay.
but we have alias accounts, which I could just do. I could put in there like sergeants@washingtonville-ny.gov, and if someone clicks on that link, it goes to all three sergeants. So we have that for detectives. If you send an email to detectives@washingtonville-ny.gov, it goes to both detectives. So I could set up alias accounts up there on the website and say, listen, if you have a tip about a crime, email this. If you have a complaint, email the chief. If you have, you know, something else, email the sergeants. We could do that. I mean, it's distributed to everybody. But I could still list everybody's name on there. I think that's a good transparency thing to do.
I just wish more people would actually complain, would have their complaint voiced rather than post it. You know, everyone's afraid, I think, everyone, you know, just doesn't want to say what's on their mind because they're afraid of something, you know, repercussions.
They don't want to say it to your face.
Yeah,
But
Social media is
everybody's
easier.
willing to say lots of stuff on the internet,
Yes.
you know, despite the repercussions, right?
there's a lot of Facebook warriors.
Sure.
Keyboard warriors, I guess.
Yeah.
But nothing gets solved then.
Sometimes when I'm reading some of the pages, I wish we could respond. I wish we had a way to respond to some of these people, because it's like, oh, I know this is not true, we did do this, and you obviously, we can't go on social media, Facebook, and get into an argument with somebody in the comments.
I know how you feel.
And we even had one of the people last week, they actually contacted my wife. I know your husband, this, that, I mean, it wasn't nothing bad, but it's like, you gotta, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. There also has to be a line that they can't,
Yeah.
or that they shouldn't cross.
All right, so that's one thing we can work on. As far as the personnel complaint form, how about if we maybe split up that? I can send that email to a couple different committee members, and maybe 3 or 4 committee members could work on updating the personnel complaint form. I can email them that. I can email them a couple samples from other police departments, and then we can agree on that maybe next time, and we can set that into our department policy, and we can put that online. Mayor, do you wanna appoint somebody to do that, or do you wanna email, do you want me to email to everybody?
Yeah, I'm just asking Colleen for her email. I think that was the only one that you didn't have. Do you have her email?
No,
Um,
or Sal,
I think sometimes if you get too many people, like if we have, I forget how many we have on the committee, if you have 14 people, 14 reviewing it, you know, chiming in might be too much, but I don't know, maybe you can break it up into a little bit less.
all right,
You know,
anyone
we can all
wanna-
agree on it, but
Yeah,
I'll volunteer.
you got it? Okay.
I think an officer should also review it, not just civilians. Just my opinion.
yeah, no, I would,
Yeah.
I would, no, it's something we have to, obviously,
Right.
if I was gonna put it in the department policy, I have to feel comfortable with it.
Right.
I think that form has probably been there for 15 years. Some, you know, we could just update it slightly
Mhm.
to, maybe even put it on the website, as a fillable,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
form, instead of just printing it out, typing it in, scanning it, make it a fillable form, and, just make it easier like that.
Once that's complete, we can forward it to, trustee Lodato is very,
Oh, she's great at that.
very good at that. So just gave her another job, so.
Larissa, how do you feel about that?
I think it's a good idea. And I think what Valerie would kill it. She'd do a great job.
Yeah, she might never talk to me again, but that's just part of it.
I think if people fill it out online though, if they fill it online, there has to be a way that we can contact them. So we can actually track it down and see, you know, investigate it.
Yeah.
Well, that would have to be
Yeah, it's sort of-
contact
Or
information,
when it's
yeah.
online though, you're, like, how many people here rather other,
Well-
are you gonna get a whole bunch of that nonstop?
Well, no, you can make it so it's required that they put in an email, or that it's
Right.
required that they.
Otherwise,
put
it
phone
doesn't
number.
go on.
yeah, but they can put anything, because I've been on sites, and I put blah, blah at yahoo.com.
Because my thought would be, what if you get 10 people just, they have a bad day that day, and they
Yeah.
put in 10 different complaints, and we have no way to investigate it, what do you do with
No,
them?
we put on the form, a note on the form that says, if we don't get good contact information for you,
It's-
Right.
we're not gonna be able to investigate your complaint.
One of the first things I do when I receive a complaint is call the person. I make sure I had all the information, so that would be the first thing. If a complaint came to me, I would, you know, review it quickly and then contact them to get as much information as I can. So without a phone number, an email address, or a name, the complaint's not really gonna go far.
You can't go anywhere.
Right.
And that being said, whenever a complaint comes in, it has to be addressed. Whether it's,
Anonymous or otherwise, I think it can't hurt
Yeah.
to at least
Yeah.
speak to the officer about what the complaint was, even if it's anonymous.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go far with it, because you're only gonna have his or her side of it, without the, you know, facts from anybody else other than, you know, anonymous hearsay, but at least it could serve as a teaching moment for the officer, a training moment.